Hey, how's everybody doing? Mic check, mic check, mic check. Mic check, mic check, mic check. Okay, mic's working. I won't, hopefully I won't be doing too much of this on the stream, but I don't know how long I'm going to stream. I'm going to try and get through a few things, but today was the first day. Normally what I've been doing, like inside the house, because when I met with the nurse practitioner like a couple weeks ago, she said I should try and transition to where I'm walking around just in my shoes. And the first week, I don't think I did any of that. The second week, I did a little bit where I was walking around in her, but here with the shoes on. But if I was going to go out, like if I needed to go out on the porch or if I was going to go outside for anything, I put the boot on just to protect it in case. And the thing is, I think I'm getting around a little better in the shoes, but when I'm in that boot and with my shoes, I'm a little unstable if I'm trying to put weight on my foot. But today I went out and did some walking. You guys, like, if anybody who checked it out yesterday, you guys know what's going on. But like, I went out and I hit Aldi's because I didn't get to go yesterday, and by the time I was done, and I'm feeling it, I'm definitely feeling it, but I thought I overdid it. I absolutely thought I overdid it. But once I got in here and put my feet up, my foot feels okay. So I don't, I might find out more later. But as of right now, I'm not so sure I overdid it. I think everything's okay. And then after the stream yesterday, I'm just going to spend 5 minutes on this, and then I'm going to talk a little bit about Skinwalker Ranch. Can't talk too much about it until I actually get to see the show tonight or tomorrow. But I will talk about it, and then and if I screw this up, I apologize. Like, especially today. Take everything I'm going to tell you with a grain of salt. Trust but verify. Maybe don't even trust, but if you're going to trust me, verify, because I might be a little off. I'm not gonna purposely lie to you, but I'm feeling it a little bit, and I might not have the best memory. But I did watch a couple UFO things on YouTube today, so I could talk about it. And um, but anyways, after the stream yesterday, uh, I had a little talk with him when he got home, and I don't know if I honestly can't remember if I brought this up, but I kind of let him know, that the stupid shit he does, and usually, like 99.99999% of the time when he gets upset about something, it's his own fucking fault. And this is something Mom had said. And ever since he's come back from that nursing home, uh, I'm not sure he's meeting with a therapist anymore. And I don't know. I literally don't know. But like, when he was doing that before, every now and then he'd be talking too loud and you could hear him through the door. Well, and he's done the same thing. Like he when he came back from that nursing home, there's a girl he was friends with over there. Well, he's done the same thing. He fucking lies to her. And I could hear, every now and then you could hear it through the door. He was lying to that therapist, and The thing is, these people can't help you if you're not. I mean, you lie to them if you want, but if you're fucking lying to them, they're really not going to help you. What he just wanted was he wanted people to pity him and feel sorry for him. That's all it was. And like that girl from the nursing home, I heard him in the phone. He was in the other room, but I could hear him talking to her. Well, he was telling her a story about how, oh well, he's been putting groceries in, and this was the first couple weeks. I mean, this part was true. Oh, he doesn't have a debit card, so I was ordering groceries for all of us, and he was paying me back. I'm not sure if he told her I paid her back, but he was like, well, I didn't. Well, the thing is, and this is the thing he didn't tell her. At a certain point, and he might have mentioned, I might not have asked him, but we were going to Woodman's. This was like when I felt I could actually drive. It took a few weeks. It might have taken more than a couple. Like it might have been, quite a few weeks. And we were going to Woodman's, which is it's a big grocery store. It's the biggest one we got in the area. It's on the other end of town. And we were going, and then he goes, well, I need to stop at the bank. I go, well, the bank's right next to the grocery store. I go, if you need, and I told him, I go, I'm not going in. I'm going to wait in the car. But yeah, if you need to go, we can. And I didn't, it was just, without even skipping a beat, it's like, hey, if you need to go to or you need to go to the bank, it's right next to the grocery store. We can definitely stop. So he was able to stop at the bank, and he was able to take as much of that cash as I gave him as he wanted to in his bank account. Well, he was making it sound like it was all my fault that he was strapped for cash, and it's like, no, it really wasn't. You bought a fucking phone you can't afford. You pissed it away on fast food and other shit, like when we went out. Because it's real simple. When he ordered this stuff, whatever my share of it was, I gave it to him. So there was no thing where he was just magically without money because he did that. And as soon as he told me, and as soon as I was able to drive, and he told me that he needed to go to his bank, I took him right to his fucking bank. And I think we did it twice. And I don't think it was a big deal. So but again, he was telling a story that was partially untrue to make somebody feel sorry. And like, at least from what I heard, he was doing that to that Andrew guy that he was seeing, and it was all by phone. And so I don't know. I literally do not know. But I can't. I gotta level these guys up. Oh, you're gonna get smacked in the face with a fucking sword. You keep playing fucking games. But I finally told him last night that hey, and I told him, I go, I don't want to argue, and I go, I'm not mad. I go, I don't want to fucking get mad. And I go, but I go, don't do what you normally do and make this mistake this for a conversation. I go, this is just the way it is. I go, because again, it's mostly the stuff he does. But the thing is, he isn't just lying to these other people. I'm pretty sure he's fucking lying to himself. He tells them this shit. Well, he starts to believe it. And, but, it's like he's mad. And he was probably mad when I told the cats, hey, the reason you don't have any food at supper time or you've got to reduce food, he bought shit and there's another fucking box from Walmart here. I don't know if he bought movies or if he bought something else. But, and this goes back to when Mom was still alive. She repeatedly told him to quit fucking around buying this shit and to save the money for the stuff he actually needed. Well, Mom was here to buy the lion's share. She did it for me too, and I'm grateful that she did it. But Mom bought most of the groceries. The only groceries he had to pick up was the shit that he ate. You know, the little microwavable dinners and all the other bullshit that he fucking ate. His pop and fucking, a half a acre of fucking chocolate so he could fucking try and eat himself to death. And this is the thing, they're, and I'm not a big fan of them, but that one governor from Arkansas, I think he wrote a book that said you're killing yourself with a fork and spoon or something like that. That's my fucking brother. And, but I told him, I go, this shit you want to do, I can't deal with it. I go, if I get lightheaded or if I get pissed off or if I get stressed out, I go, I'm gonna get lightheaded. And I told him, even if I'm here, I go, I don't want to fucking deal with your bullshit. And I told him, most of it is stuff you bring on yourself. I go, you fucking make an appointment for this shit. And I told him, I go, hey, I understand why you're stressed out. You don't have money. You don't have money for food. And I go, you don't have your share of the money to take care of the cats. But I go, whose fucking fault is that? I go, you're the one that bought a phone you can't afford. I go, you're the one that spent it on shit at Walmart. And I go, I don't know what else you did because something happened and I might, all I can go is by what he said and what appeared to have happened. But I don't know if it just got turned off until he had money in the account or if they actually disabled his fucking debit card. But there was a problem with his debit card. And I don't know if he had to get a new card or if he just had to wait till there was money in his account so it would turn back on. But I told him, I go, this shit you do, I go, if you want to blame somebody, I go look in a fucking mirror. I go, you got to stop taking this shit out on me. I go, I understand you're short of money. I go, you don't have money for food. I go, I get that. And I go, because this is what he did. I think it was a week ago Monday. We went to Century, and it's the only time. It's the only time he didn't do what he did at the grocery store yesterday. Anytime we go to the store, I can't remember. I think when we went to Target, he stuck with me that day. But usually when we go to Woodman's, he grabs a cart and he's just gone. As soon as like when we go to Century, when we started going there, and I would actually go in, by then I had the boot, and it's not that big of a store, so I actually, because they don't really like Woodman's has got like 8 or 10 carts per door for people who are disabled or whatever. Century, they got like 1 or 2, and Target, I did use one at Target though. That ain't no joke. But Target's got like 6 of them. Century's got 2 or 3. They really don't have a lot. And it's a small enough store. I figure, well, I might regret this, but I'll try it. And I did okay, that day. But that last time we went to Century, he didn't fucking bug out. He stayed with me. Oh man, he didn't even get his own cart. He shared a cart with me. And then what happened was when we got up there, he didn't go into another lane or he didn't get in behind me. He got in ahead of me. And I'm pretty sure this was by design. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh my, I don't have my debit card. Can you cover this? And I go, well, how much is it? And it was a little over $20. And I go, yeah, I can. But I told him, I go, which I wasn't, but I go, if I was buying a lot of stuff, you'd be shit out of luck. And I got a feeling, I think that's why he was really, I don't know, but I suspect that's why he was really mad yesterday because I think he was kind of hoping I'd pay for his groceries again. Well, no, I wouldn't have. Even if I'd have been there, I wouldn't have because I told him the night before, and I did it that day. I gave him enough to make it a total $50 that I had given him between yesterday and last week. And that was it's either going to be all or damn near all of what I owe him for electricity this month. Whatever else I owe him, I'll give him when we get it done. But, oh my God. I sincerely think that might be why he was really pissed off. Or the other thing is he might have been fucking around on free internet. Because this is the thing, and I had some time to think about it. this is the thing I can't figure out, because he should have been done, if he wasn't fucking around, if he wasn't up to something, if he wasn't being stupid, he should have been done shopping about the same time I was. Which meant that, by the time I got done waiting at the frozen food, he should have been there. And then I went outside and I waited for I waited for at least 30 minutes. I'm pretty sure it was closer to 40 or more. But I waited out there, and then I went in and paged him, and had him page him by name, and basically made the comment that, hey, I'm out in the car, and if he wouldn't have showed up when he did, I was going to go page him again and let him know, hey, his ride's leaving in 10 minutes. And I didn't get mad. I just wasn't going to sit there. And I sort of warned him the one day at Sentry. I go, hey, look, I don't know what's going on, but, I showed up to drop you off, and I waited in the car, and I was having trouble. I didn't go in that day, and by about, I'd say half hour, 45 minutes, my foot was aching. And that was when I was still taking, aspirin. I wasn't taking pain pills during the day, but I was still taking aspirin and stuff. Well, I took them in the morning when I got up, and I figured, well, we'll be over there for like a half hour or so, and then I would take them when I got at home with some food, the Tylenol and the aspirin. Well, he was fucking around in there. Well, my foot started having problems. And all I needed to do, so I ended up fucking elevating my foot in there. But, and I told him, I go, hey, just so you know, I'm not mad, but I go, I was getting pretty close to where I was going to have to leave you here. And because I go, I needed to go home and take aspirin, Tylenol. I go, I figured as early as we came over, I go, I figured out we would have been done by now. And I go, you seem to take for fucking ever. And I go, I don't know what it is. And I go, and if you can't, I told him, I go, just don't give me any fucking excuses. I go, you got two choices. You can either move faster or you can not pick up as much bullshit. I go, them are your two choices. I go, I don't want to hear any excuses. I go, I don't care about your fucking excuses. I go, it's just a simple fact. I go, I was rapidly approaching the point where I was going to have to leave you here. And I go, wouldn't have been mad. Wouldn't have been any judgment. It's just a reality, And like I mentioned to you guys yesterday, he used to do this shit to Mom and Laura all the time, where he'd fucking go in there and he'd fucking disappear. And again, I don't know, but it really seemed like it was a fucking game where he'd go in there, fuck around, and then it's almost like he was watching you. This is the way it was explained to me. It's almost like he was watching you, because what would happen is as soon as you started looking around for him, well, then he'd call you. And then, it was a way to be the center of attention. It was a way to fucking, to have some kind of a passive-aggressive control. I'm passive-aggressive myself, and that shit don't work on me when you're him and you're doing it. Because I'll just fucking leave your ass like I did yesterday. But no, but the thing that gets me, especially when he told me that, well, yeah, he went to page me, and they told him, well, somebody paged you and said your brother was out in the car. And because when I mentioned him, he goes, well, I didn't hear that. I go, well, Jess, I go, I don't know. I go, I know I did it. I heard it go over the intercom when I was in the liquor store. And he goes, well, they did kind of tell me that somebody paged me and said my brother was in the car. I go, see, everybody else fucking heard it. I go, where were you? And I asked him, I go, where were you? I go, because other people heard it. And I go, it wasn't their name and they still heard it. I go, where the fuck were you? I go, honestly, I don't really know. I absolutely do not know. I kind of wonder if he's got somebody he meets out there, he leaves the store. Because I went through that whole store and I didn't see him. But maybe there's some fucking clandestine drug connection that he met out there and got some, because I know he's been having trouble getting the over-counter stuff because they won't ship it to him. So I'm wondering if he's buying either somebody else's medication or Is he buying, like, is he fucking self-medicating with street drugs? I really don't know, but when you see him acting the way he is, I'm thinking he's got to be back on the fucking dope again, whether it's prescription stuff or street stuff. Either that or, because I mean, he wasn't like this when he got home. This is a recent fucking thing, but I did tell him, I go, hey, look, whatever's going on, you got to quit taking this shit out on me. I go, I get it. You're short of money. Great. I go, I completely get that. But I go, you got to quit taking that shit out on me. I go, whatever the fuck's wrong with you, I go, you got to fucking deal with it. And then what was funny is I told him that right when he got home, so it had happened. Well, then last night after I streamed, I was in the bedroom, and then if I fell asleep, I fell asleep. And well, when I would come out, every fucking time I came out, and I got the camera, so you can. But every time I fucking came out, he was sitting in the living room like this. He's just, and he's just fucking poor. He did this shit when Mom was alive. He hasn't done it in a while, but he used to do this shit all the time with Mom, and he's fucking doing this shit. And I started fucking laughing. I'm like, look, dude, I didn't say nothing to him, but I'm not trying to be mean. I'm literally not. But dude, I got my own shit to deal with. I literally do. And most of your shit's not real, it's imaginary. I mean, the thing that's real is the fact that he did over the counter pain. He did prescription pain meds, and not over the counter. But he did prescription pain meds, and he fucking ate like a fucking pig until he got sick. That's what he did. And his health got ruined. His health is a real thing, but it's all self-inflicted. It's absolutely all self-inflicted. And I can't feel sorry for him on that. I mean, I'm pretty sure I was drugged or poisoned. That's something I didn't have a lot of control over. That was wrong. And on some level, it really offends me when you got some lazy piece. Now, it's a drug. Drug addiction's a real thing, and so I'm really trying to be a little more understanding. I'm failing, but I'm really trying. But the fact is, he did this to himself. His doctors did too, because they should have clamped down on this a long time ago. But he did this to himself. I mean, I'm sorry. I can't feel that sorry for him when he fucking gave it away. I would give anything to be healthy again. I would literally love to be fucking healthy again. I'd love to be able to go from the kitchen to the porch without fucking breaking my foot like I did. I would like to be able to just get in the car and drive whenever I want without worrying that I'm gonna fucking pass out or get lightheaded if where I have to wait for a good day to do it. And that pisses me off. I'm pretty sure I'm on peaceful. I was over here one other time, and I was pretty sure I was on peaceful, and I was over here for hours. What I'd do is I'd come over, I'd check it, and then I was basically letting my pumpkins grow, and then I would sit on that horse, I'd let my pumpkins grow, and then I would go watch TV. I got one TV here. I would go watch TV. And then I come back and everything was fine. I was so lucky. And then one time I was over there, I think, and there was and sun was up. And because as soon as I got on, I slept in the bed. And then I noticed there was one of those drowned under a tree taking shelter. And I'm like, holy shit, I could have lost all my stuff. I felt so lucky that I didn't lose everything. But yeah, so I kind of let them know. I go, hey, look, I just can't deal with this shit. I go, one way or another, you're going to have to grow up or figure something out. But I go, you can't pull this shit here anymore. I go, you're upset. I get it. You're short of money. But I go, whose fault is it? I go, I'm not the one who spent all your money on a fucking phone. I go, I'm not the one who ordered a whole bunch of shit and emptied your bank account. I go, I'm not the one who did it. I go, I'm literally not the one who did it. And that's why, he's coming up short on this money. I think he's buying, like I said, it might be legal prescription drugs, but it might be somebody else's. But I got a feeling that he's doing this because he's running short of money. And so I don't know. I literally don't know. But yeah. Well, anyways, so that's enough of the bullshit. But I did let him know I can't do this. But I told him, I go, when I'm out driving, I go, absolutely not. And I told him, I go, if you ever do that fucking bullshit again, I go, I'm just gonna drive off. I go, I'm gonna fucking leave you. Because I go, I can't deal with this shit. I don't want to deal with it even if I'm not driving. I go, if I'm at home, I don't want to deal with your bullshit. You know? And that shit he did last night, it's like, oh, and it's like, I can't imagine he's sitting there watching TV with his head in his hand, not watching that. He's doing it as soon as because you can hear me coming because of the walker and everything. Well, he's doing it for my benefit. He wants me to feel sorry. I don't fucking feel sorry for you. It's like, I'm sorry, and this whole thing, the way he eats and everything else, it's like, look, if, and I'm not saying this to him, I'm saying it to you guys, but I'm of the opinion that if you want to take drugs, prescription or otherwise, until you die, if you want to eat until you die, go fucking get it over with. I'm serious. I'm not saying it to him. I might snap one of these days and actually say it to him. And this, I have said this before because this is the thing, and he's gotten pretty good about this. He hasn't been doing this, but I got on him about eating in the living room, and I've gone into how big of a fucking slob he is before. But I went in there and I was trying to clean, this is before I broke my foot, I was trying to clean the living room, and he's got like 2 fucking bags of fucking pop cans or pop bottles and shit. And I told him, I go, look, I don't know what the fuck's wrong with you, but I go, don't ever fucking do that again. And I told him, I go, here's the deal. And I go, if you keep this up, I go, I will start throwing your fucking bullshit out. You won't be drinking it. You'll be having tap water. I go, I'll throw out everything you fucking own except for tap water. And maybe your water bottles. But I go, here's the thing. If you can get off your dead fucking lazy worthless ass and go get another fucking soda, then it's real simple. You take your fucking empty with you and you put it in the recycle. I go, it's that fucking simple. And I go, I'm not going to keep giving you warnings. I go, I've already done it at least once. I go, I will just start throwing your shit out. And I was very clear to him. I go, you can't do this. I go, this is fucking bullshit. I go, if you are too fucking lazy to take your empty to the fucking kitchen. Now, if you got 1 or 2, that's different. But I go, you got like 2 fucking bags. I go, you got like 30 or 40 fucking bottles in here. And I go, if you are too fucking lazy and worthless to take your empties out, then you're too fucking lazy and worthless to get yourself a new fucking soda. And it's like, what the fuck? You shouldn't, Jesus Christ, you shouldn't have to tell somebody this. He's literally like an episode of fucking Hoarders. But he's been pretty, because I think he realized, I basically told him, I go, hey, when he first got home, I go, if you can't do the garbage, I go, I'm going to be throwing out all that microwavable shit. I go, if you get a bag of raw carrots, if you get potatoes, if you get sliced meat, or raw meat, I go, I'll leave that alone. But I go, if you can't take care of the fucking garbage, I go, I'm going to throw all that little snack food out. And I go, and if you don't take care of the recycle, I go, all your bottles of pop, I go, I'm going to throw all of that out. I go, I'm going to still have to deal with it, but I go, you're not going to get to enjoy it if you're too fucking lazy to do your share. Well, I did it once. And he sort of, and it wasn't even everything. I just put a severe dent in his pop and his food. And then he sort of figured it out. He's like, oh, okay. And then mail. What happened was he noticed he wasn't getting any mail. I was sending his shit, like when he ordered stuff. Now, if this was my house, that stuff from Walmart, I would find out what it is and I would send it back, and I just tell them, I tell them right out, I go, hey, look, but I don't own the place. We're both in the trust, and for the wisdom of that. But I would seriously tell them like, hey, here's the questionnaire for you. Oh yeah, I did this yesterday. I didn't notice it when I came over. I started extending this over. That might be what I'll do. I might go get some. I might go get some more cobblestone and work on that bridge. I was doing that yesterday. But yeah. So, anyways, um, the Skinwalker, Brandon Fugel, the guy that owns the place, um, he cracked me up yesterday. He's still active. I'll be honest. I don't know if I've been shadow banned because there was somebody saying that Elon was nerfing how much shit you could see if you weren't subscribing. And I gotta be honest with you. I used it because it was free. I would have never got on Twitter if you had to pay for it. I just wouldn't. So, the shit that he's doing where he's really trying to entice or force people, that's all that's going to do is drive me up. And it's not like I'm hurting him. I'm just not that active on the platform. And anyways, but he Brandon Fugel put something up, and I'm not sure he's subscribed to it either. But he put up, it was the Pinhead from the Hellraiser movies, and he was talking about the new episode that'll be coming out tonight, and he's like, and this was yesterday, and he's like, all the things I want to show you, and I'm just like, okay, this cracked me up. This literally cracked me up, and I think it was yesterday. I don't know if I talked about this. I'm kind of lightheaded, but I appear to be in a pretty good mood, so I don't think I'll say anything. I don't think I'll say anything that I'll be raising an eyebrow about later, because I used to do that. It was whatever the streaming thing that was on the Xbox. I can't remember what the name of it was, and but that one there, I would stream on it, and I used that one and the only reason I used it because it was integrated into the Xbox, and now Twitch is. And I really gotta thank them. I don't know if it's Twitch or Xbox, but I really gotta thank them for absorbing that in. And it works because I'm sitting there thinking earlier I couldn't figure out why they didn't do it because they already had the infrastructure in there from Hover or whatever it was. Yeah, there's a few spots here where slime will form. I might regret this, but this is a place where you can come through and you'll get slime, and basically everything above it and below it. Yeah. It's kind of rough cut right now, but down the road, what I'm hoping is, yeah, because there's another one that fell down now. But what I'm hoping is that I'll be able to just kind of stay down here, and these things will just fall. I don't know if you want to. It's kind of a poor man's slime farm now, but appears to be working pretty good. Yeah, but anyways, he did that, and oh god, what was the one comment I made? Oh, go ahead and clip that. Okay, I'm gonna take these out. But that busted me up. It's all the things we want to show you, but by the sounds of it, it it really looks like there's going to be a lot of stuff. And there's a guy we used to play. I don't even know if he's still alive or not. He had some minor health issues, but they're ones that could have complicated COVID. But there was a guy we used to play Axis and Allies with, and he goes, "Well, I knew a guy in the military. And he always said stuff was good." And yeah, it is. So but fucking A. And then that Oumuamua thing. First of all, and again, take this with a grain of salt. And I really don't, you don't even necessarily have to trust me, but definitely trust and verify. And if you trust me, because I'm just not entirely sure. But this Oumuamua, it was caught by observatory in Hawaii. And Oumuamua means something. You gotta look it up. It's not just a simple name. And I know this is wrong, but it's at least somewhat in the ballpark. It's something like mighty visitor or spectacular visitor or something like that. And well, this thing seems to be working. And I just want to get some cobblestone and might be, yeah, here we go. But something along the lines of like mighty visitor, majestic visitor, something like that. And I think I got to go down one more. Yeah, there we go. And when it was first detected, and the observatory where it's at, that's its job. Its job is to look for near Earth threats. So, you think of the movie Armageddon, where it's like they detected that thing, and they're like, well, how come we're just finding out about it now? And he goes, we got a budget to track about 5% of the sky, and it's a pretty big fucking sky. And so, but that's what this observatory is mainly there for. And I mean, it sees other things too, but that's what it's mainly there for, is looking for things that may be a threat. Stuff that when it pops up, they can hopefully quickly determine, well, it's what noticed this. And so that it had one of those little, XZ9311, and then they got to name it because it turned out they were the ones who actually first saw it, and they named it Oumuamua. Well, when it first came in, and again, feel free, because I am gonna not do this justice. There's just so much shit to talk about on this one. But when they first found it, the first thing I think, at least the first thing I heard them talk about, is it had a velocity that was such they knew it was something that came from outside the solar system. According, and again, I don't know, but according to the experts, it was traveling at such a rate that it indicated it was not something from within the solar system. That was the first thing that they figured out. And then the next thing that I noticed them talking about, and this is going back a few months. And the thing is, I don't think I heard about this until like last year. And I want to say it was found in 2017 or something like that. But I didn't hear anything about it till last year. Last year, I think, is when I heard about it. And I didn't even pay that much of attention to it. Though, and again, I'm not saying that he was late. I might not have noticed, but when I started finding out what Avi Loeb was saying, he's the Harvard astronomy director, or the dean of, he's basically in charge of the astronomy department at Harvard. I'm thinking that's not something you can kind of turn your nose up at. I would say that is probably a pretty classified and important position, you know. And I first heard that he was the one that was talking about how this thing might be a drone or something from another civilization. And I'm gonna finish what I'm doing, but this is good. This is good. And then so there's that. You know, there's this thing was traveling too fast. It couldn't be from here. And then the next thing is, the next thing about it is, it's not the right shape. They figure it's like 10 times longer than it is wide. And they said whether an asteroid, a comet, etc. I don't know if something's driving by outside or if we're actually getting some thunder. I got to be honest, if I lose internet, it's probably going to be gone, at least for the near future. Because if I lose the internet, I'm not going to replace it unless I get one of those hotspots you can put inside. Because I just can't see. I've done everything I can to proof this stuff outside to keep it from getting hit by lightning. And I just can't keep pumping money into it. Mom was having trouble. She was doing it, but it was like every year. So far, this year's been really good. So I think I did a pretty good job lightning proofing it last year. But ever since I had come home, it's like once a year we were usually losing the internet. We lost the phone. Like one time we lost the phone and the internet. And we had a whole bunch of shit rewired in the basement because the lightning must have just. But so far it's been pretty good. So I'm pretty happy about that. And well, anyways, this thing is just too long. It's shaped like a cigar, is what they figure. And that's not normal. There's been some other stuff, and I can't think of them, but there's been some other stuff. One of them, I wish I could remember the name. I don't even know if I'd be able to find it. Well, definitely wouldn't be able to find it today. I'm just too lightheaded for this shit. But But there's been stuff that they have found in space, and like one of them, it was an asteroid or meteor or something like that, and it was spinning too fast, and they're like, well, if that thing was made out of, the experts, and it might have been Avi Loeb that was one of, but the experts that weighed in on it, they said that thing has to be made out of some pretty durable or pretty dense stuff, because they were looking at it as the way it was spinning. it should have just basically destroyed itself. It was just the way it was acting. They're like, there's just no way that a normal space rock, like normal asteroids, it just shouldn't be able to sustain that. So there was some speculation that maybe it was something not natural. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and put this on peaceful. I gotta go to the bathroom. I'll be right back. I'll be back as quick as I can. So it was one of those things. It's a leftover from what happened to me, but the let's just say part of me was fucking winking as as, as I wasn't sure I was gonna make it. Part of me was winking as I was walking, and I honestly had no idea if I was gonna have to change my underwear or whatever. And then when I got on there, everything was good. Everything was good. We're all good, and but yeah, the uh, yeah, this is all done. I think what I'll do is I'm gonna finish this up, and then I'll finish this up. I'll take a load over and work on that bridge. And then when I either run out or finish the bridge, that'll probably be it for the day. Uh, and then I think it's 3 o'clock. When I get done, I'll probably just end the stream and probably turn on some news. But anyway, so yeah, so this I will try and get this because I'm fading, and I kind of want to go out while I'm still, making sense and doing a pretty good job. But anyways, I think where I left off, it was too long, it was too fast, and I mentioned some of them other ones where different experts looked at it and they said, and this was not a moo, this was other stuff. Some of them are out by the Kuiper Belt or other areas. But people that know what they're talking about, they're like, well, this thing is spinning too fast. And there was one, I don't know if this is true or not. I really don't, but it was the story I heard. But there was something out there, a probe or something. And when it approached this thing that was spinning kind of fast, they figured it was probably pretty well built, or wouldn't have been able to do that. And to me, I don't think they said this, but it's like, was it spinning fast enough that it was creating gravity? Or something like that. And but they said that, when a satellite or something approached it, and it was gonna. They said it just disabled. They said this thing just quit working until it left the area, and then it started working again. That sounds like some of the shit at Skinwalker Ranch. Like when they, if it's true, and I don't know, I'm saying I believe it's at least possible, but I don't know that it's true. But that to me is like when they had those guys there with the telescopes. They had the guys there with the telescopes, and they were going to set it up and look at something through this anomaly, and then if the star system that they were looking at, a known thing, and they were filming it, well, if that distorted, then they would know, or if you couldn't see it. Well then every time, and this is according to them guys, I don't think they're lying. I wasn't there, I don't know. But the way those guys were talking is every time something would come up that they could lock onto, it would just vanish from their computer. Like it just wouldn't be there. And then as soon as it moved out of the area, it would return. And it sounds like, I think that was one of those ones where after it had left the area, it started working again. And, this is not, this is some weird shit. Well, this is the same thing. This thing was working. It's not like the Martian probe where it just disabled and that was it. It quit working. It quit transmitting. And then as soon as it was no longer near this thing, it started working again. Um, and that's the thing with the Oumuamua. It was acting peculiar, and this I don't necessarily think, especially if it came from outside our solar system. But if you look at it, all of the planets are in line. I think they all go the same direction around the sun. They're all lined up. You don't have like one at 0 degrees and another one like 10 to 80 or whatever it is, at an angle. They're all rotating. Well, this one here came from above the planetary plane alignment, went around the sun, and then went out in another direction, or went back in the direction it came from. I can't remember that for sure, but it came in, and I'm not entirely sure, but they made it sound like that was unusual. Well, the thing is, though, if you got everything that's from within the solar system, they might have been acted on in the same way as the stuff that's here. The planets and everything, where this thing came from outside our solar system. So that could be completely natural, but that's another anomaly that they made note of it. I don't know how big of a deal it is. I really don't, but they made a note of it. Well, then the other thing is, they made a comment, and this was something that Avi Loeb mentioned. This was one of the things that kind of got him hooked on it, is this thing. Hang on a sec. This thing did not act like a meteor or a comet. That was what was unusual about this. Because generally when this stuff comes in, whether it's Hale Bob or these other ones, they act in a very normal way. This thing here did not behave like it would from gravity. This thing was acting in a way that was unusual for something like a comet or a meteor. It was not moving as you would expect, as they know it should from gravity. And they said, well, there's two different ways that this could happen. One of them is and this is the way comets operate. As it comes near the sun, you'd have ice and other things that would get heated up by the sun, and as they expand, they would cause it to move. Well, and I'm doing this, and I could be wrong. I really don't know, but if that's what it was, if that's all it was, then the big thing about that is it wouldn't explain for why it was accelerating so fast, because again, if it was doing it from gas heating up and expanding, then it should be acting like the stuff we've already seen. That's my take on it, and I could be wrong, but I didn't hear anybody mention that. But all the stuff that we normally see in here, they don't exceed a certain speed from that. And the other thing they said it could be is it's something from the sun. I don't know if it's muons or photons or something, but it's basically like if you ever watched Star Trek when they would talk about the solar sail, and Cisco and his kid built one, and then they found out that the old rumors about the Bajorans was true. They clearly might have built a solar sail that took them to Cardassia. And that's what they were talking about. They were talking about stuff that would be affected by stuff coming off the sun, and it would be. But again, um, it seems kind of weird that it would then be causing those kind of speeds, especially when they're saying that it is quite a large amount of it is rock and metal. And again, the metal, it could be natural ore, it could be something man-made. And another thing that they mention is the coloration of it. They think that it has been bombarded with a lot of solar radiation, and there was some speculation that it might be millions or billions of years old. I don't know. The experts are saying that. But like when you listen to Avi Loeb talk about it, one of the things that he talks about is that I'm just going to put these in here for now. I'm going to go get rid of some of this shit. I'm going to put this in. I'm going to put this stuff in the furnace and get it cooking. And then I'll come back. I'm going to sleep too. But Avi Loeb made the comment that it seemed to course correct. And the one thing, and this was one of the things that he really found, I'm going to say interesting, because I'm not sure he seemed interested. He didn't seem put off by it. So I don't want to say where he was curious might be a good word, but disturbed or worried I don't think would fit. I might keep those actually. And we're gonna. But he but he said this thing was course correcting. It was not moving in a usual way. And like one of the things he was talking about, like when this thing orbited the sun, is again, it sounded like a lot of things that had orbited the sun like it did would have been damaged from the course correction, from the gravity, from the heat, from the radiation coming off of it. And this thing didn't appear to be. So it was just interesting. You know, it would be one thing. We can go ahead and take one off of there. Actually, I can do that when I get over there. And you know, so there's just a lot of things there, but the course correction is the big one for me. And like again, yeah, because this is the thing he said when it went around the sun, it sounds, I'm guessing, but I'm assuming it's sped up from the gravity of the sun pulling it, but it also continued to accelerate as it broke away. And I might be wrong, but my understanding of it, you know, you point yourself at an object, whether it's the sun, a moon, Jupiter, you know, etc. That gravity is going to pull you in, and they call it that slingshot maneuver. Farscape used it, Star Trek used it, you know, a lot of stories used it. It's a real thing, and you pick up speed as it's pulling you in, and then you use your jets or whatever to break away from it. Well, that's another thing. You know, it clearly was doing that. Did it have some kind of propulsion to break away? Because my understanding is without the propulsion, it's not as easy to break away. Because you've already been captured by that gravity. I think you usually need an assistance. And then again, as it's leaving the sun, it was still accelerating. And whether it had some kind of thing where it was picking up something from the sun and speeding up, or it had some advanced propulsion system that we don't understand. I think either way, that points to this not being a natural phenomena, this not being a natural rock, it being something greater than that. So I don't know. I literally don't know. And then, and so that was and as far as I know, I've given you the cliff notes of it. I think there's more, and I just can't remember it. But hopefully, either you'll one way or another. I think you'll know enough to know whether you want to know more, or hey, no thanks, I'm good. I'll go watch something else. But you might want to look into it. I find it fascinating. I find it absolutely fascinating. Well, a couple weeks ago, I started noticing, and I didn't start looking at them until like yesterday or the day before, but there were these videos that were going up on YouTube 2 or 3 weeks ago, and I think they might be all from like 2 or 3 sources, but there's a fair amount of them. And they're saying that Oumuamua is back. And it's not alone. That's the headline. Now, it could be clickbait. I don't know. But I finally found one video, and it was a newer one, where they actually did talk about how it seems to have come back. And one of them, now again, this might be clickbait, but one of them is saying that it appears to be, it came back, it's not alone, and it's headed for Earth. And then the other thing, now again, if they didn't deep fake this or whatever, and I don't know. That's a thing you actually have to worry about now. But it was at Neil deGrasse Tyson. There was a video I noticed where he was talking about how Voyager or something took some video or took some pictures, and there were like 500 objects. Oh shit, I'll come over here. There were 500 objects that Voyager picked up, and it sounds like they're coming our way. So there's that going on. Oh, and I was gonna try, and I kind of liked. I would have kind of liked to watch it. I'm gonna do my level best. And if you are even moderately interested, what you need to do is you need to go check out a podcast called Need to Know. And if you do a YouTube search for it, what you want to type in is Need to Know Zabel, or Zabel, or Need to Know Coulthard, Coulth. That should bring it up, or ART. And it's these two journalists. One of them is American. The other one, I believe, is Australian. And I'm just gonna put. I needed to get this stuff out of here, but I'll go ahead and put these down. But this is what I was gonna do, and then I got sidetracked because that Oumuamua thing. I'm not kidding you. I found it interesting. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's something we need to worry about or be fascinated about or whatever. But I'm going to probably have to come back as soon as I empty out my my inventory, because I was kind of maxed out with this. And then the next time I come, I'm hoping I'll be able to turn all of it into slabs. But They did one, I believe it was over the weekend that they did this. And according to what he was saying, and if I talked about this, I completely apologize. But from what he was saying, uh, but from what he was saying, there is language, and I think it's going to come out. Like they did the one thing, and this came out in the defense authorization, and it's basically that big omnibus defense bill that has to pass. And they actually got it in, and the president had no problem signing it. And that's why we started getting those UFO briefings in Congress last year. Once it was signed, they had 6 months to get their shit together. And it sounds like this one's going to come up in the intelligence, not the defense, but the intelligence. And the way he was talking, it sounds like the language is locked in the Senate. And this was, I believe, before this podcast. He was doing another podcast with Zabel. This is that Australian journalist. And the way he was talking in a previous podcast, I don't think it was this one. I might be wrong. A little lightheaded today. But the way he was talking in a previous one, the people in Congress there's bipartisan support. They want Congress fully briefed on this shit. He said there is not bipartisan support to do that to the American people. He said, there's bipartisan support for for them to be briefed fully. But there isn't bipartisan support, probably because they don't know what it is. And he also said that Congress, and it sounds like it's not Senate or House, it sounds like it's both. They are pretty sure that they have been lied to, and they're not happy about it. And I had mentioned, again, I don't want to take credit for it. I'm pretty sure they've got people smarter than me. Maybe not on the Republican side, but I'm pretty sure that somebody's got people smarter than me, and I was at best maybe reinforcing some already good advice they had. But I told them, I go, this was right after the first House hearing. And I kind of mentioned a few things. I go, look, I've been following this for 40, 50, like 40 years now, ever since I was a kid and I saw the Hangar 18 movie, Hangar 18 on TV movie, or the stuff on Roswell. I go, oh shit, I gotta go get my slabs. But I go, I am pretty sure you guys have been lied to. And I went into detail, kind of explained it. And I told him, I go, look, I don't know if you guys want to hear it. Maybe you're already there. I don't know. But I go, I am reasonably sure that you are going to need to put some people from the military and the intelligence community in jail for lying to Congress or contempt of Congress, or maybe both, before you shake them up. I think they are so used to lying to courts, and they're used to lying to you guys. And I am pretty sure that you're going to have to start putting people in jail before you wake them up. I am convinced of that. But I go, you guys do what you want. And they're not willing to go there. And the other thing I mentioned, I go, and I go, you could bring these whistleblowers in, and I go, whether they're whistleblowers or not, you could bring these people in. And I go, here's the thing. I go, if they can't talk to you because they're going to go to jail, I go, the only reason they can go to jail is because you guys passed the laws. I go, you guys could alter these laws and make it legal for them to come and talk to you. and make it legal for them and come and talk to the Intelligence Committee or the Oversight Committee or the Armed Services Committee. I go, now here's the thing, and I kind of mentioned this to him. I go, I don't want to see absolute amnesty. I go, I don't. I go, and I sort of told him, I go, it's Lou Elizondo. This is the guy that ran ATIP until he resigned because he wanted to brief the Secretary of Defense. I don't know if he knew him personally, but he knew General Mattis. He had a lot of respect for General Mattis, and he honestly felt that the stuff that he was running across in ATIP is something that the Secretary of Defense should be aware of. And he was bringing in experts, he was bringing in witnesses, he was bringing in evidence, and every way, there's a movie, HBO made it, and I am not sure, I'm not 100% sure if it's something you can watch on their app, but this was a made for HBO movie. This is one of those, it's not porn, it's HBO, but it was, I think it was called Pentagon Wars, and it was based off a book. And the tagline for it, when they were, because this was, oh God, Kelsey Grammer looks so young in this. I want to say this thing was probably made like 20 years ago. It was made a while ago. And the tagline for it was, it's the Pentagon Wars, the story of the Bradley fighting vehicle or something like that. And the tagline was, it would be funny if it wasn't true. And it sounds like it was actually what this thing was based on. And there was a guy, I can't think of the guy's name. There was a movie, I think he was like one of the main characters in The Princess Bride. I might have it wrong. And then there was another one, I think it was Robin Hood Men in Tights, and I think he was the guy who played Robin Luxley or whatever the character's name was. He played an Air Force colonel or lieutenant colonel who was put in charge by Congress of overseeing an Army project. This way, he didn't have any direct authority over him by the generals in the Army, because he was Air Force. And I cannot think of that. He's a damn good actor. He's absolutely a damn good actor, and I can't think of anything else he's been in. And he played this character, and he was trying to get to the bottom, and they fucked with him like every chance they got. And there's a guy, he's the one who played Toby Ziegler on The West Wing. He was a colonel or a one-star general who had worked on the project before, and what he was doing was he was feeding this guy information. Because the Army wasn't feeding him that. They were feeding him lies and hope. And so he sent this guy a British test on aluminum armor. Because, and they sort of went through it, and every now and then they would do a little thing where they would go through what had happened previously. You had, and the way it was is what they do is they'd have some generals and some colonels, generals that wanted to get another star, colonels that wanted to become generals, majors that wanted to become colonels, and they would come in on the Army and they would do this shit, and they would just pass it on to the next guy. And this thing went on for 20 years, and they spent billions of dollars, billions with a B, is the way they categorized it. And so he, one of the things was some guy came in, and it was a general, and he said, "Well, I don't understand. Why don't you put some portholes in these walls so our guys can stick their guns out and shoot at people as they drive past them?" So they put that in there. Well, then it went to another general, or it might have even been the same general. Well, then when they actually saw it, they go, man, why'd you put these portholes in? Do you think this is for the Navy or something like? I mean, it was just all the way around to just a fucking mess. And so what happened was, it got to him. Well, one of the things that had come up is it was supposed to be a troop transport. That's all it was supposed to be. It was just supposed to be it was supposed to be a recon vehicle. It was supposed to be fast and agile, get up, take a little sneak peek, and get back. So you weren't using jeeps, you didn't have people on foot, they just zip up. Well, then you get these generals and be like, well, man, why don't we put a turret on this thing and take some people out? And then they're like, sir, if we put a turret on it, it's probably going to draw fire because people will think it's a tank. And they go, well, it's not a tank. It's a recon vehicle. And then when it got back to the design guys, and this was Toby Ziegler, I can't think of the actor's name. He goes, yeah, this is what the generals want. And he goes, well, yeah, but if you put that, this thing has that, it goes into battle with that pecker sticking out of the front of it, everybody's going to unload on it because they're going to think it's a tank. And he goes, well, it's not a tank. It's a recon vessel. He goes, I understand that, Colonel, but unless you want to put a sign on here written in 50 different languages, don't shoot. I'm a recon vessel. I'm not a tank. He goes, they're going to unload on this thing. And so then when he took it back to the generals, one of them brought up the fact, they go, well, you put that turret on there, people are going to probably think it's a tank and unload. And he goes, well, actually, General, that was kind of brought up in the discussion. And so that's when they decided to put armor on it. Well, when they put proper armor on it, it was too heavy. It slowed it down. And it cut down on its ability to be a good recon vessel. Quick and agile and fast. So that's why they looked at the aluminum armor. Because it's armor, but it was a lot lighter weight. Well, there was a British study, and what they did was they hit it with some munitions, and it put like a poison gas into the vehicle, and it killed everybody in there. Well, he was trying to basically do that. He was trying to basically he was going to get some sheep, and he was going to just test it and see what happened. And they well, first thing he did was, I think, because they said, oh, you can't just do that with sheep. And so then what he did was he put some mannequins in there. And he was going to see, just because he could get some chemical residue off the mannequins and whatnot. And these two Army guys, I think one might have been a colonel. It was either colonel major or major lieutenant. Well, what they did was they stole the vehicle. They took the mannequins, stripped them, put like completely new uniforms on them. And they took the ones that had been all burnt. So clearly it was going to be a firestorm in there when shit happened. And then the other thing is, well, he's like, well, okay, we'll do some sheep. And as soon as he let the Army know that he was going to get some sheep, and well, then the next morning he comes in, and there's all this bustle down the hallway. Well, they've created they had a name for it. It was a scientific name for like a sheep. And what they did was, it was whatever that name was, it was procurement. And he went in and he goes, what is this? And he goes, oh, this is, I can't remember what the term was, but I'm just going to say like sheep or ram procurement. And he goes, well, I don't understand. He goes, why don't we just get some sheep? Oh, we gotta scientifically explore this and find out, do we want shorn or unshorn? Do we want, and then there's going through they're basically making as much of a fucking obstacle. So it would take months, if not years, to get the sheep. And then they showed him where he went, and he just basically, they don't even really give you the speech on it. They just show you. There's no audio. But he goes to this farmer, gives the guy some cash out of his pocket, and then his men are loading up the sheep onto a transport. And he's just gonna fucking do it. He's got his shit. He's showing them. Well, then these army guys show up and they're like, "Well, you can't just do that." And he goes, "Why not? They're paid for." "Well, yeah, but it's unscientific." And he goes, "Look, I don't really care. I just want to get the data on what happens to the sheep." And they're putting their foot down. And so he goes, "All right." He goes, "Get the sheep out of there." And then he ordered the men to go in there. And he goes, "Well, you can't do this." He goes, "I'm pretty sure I can do this." He goes, "Now, do you want me to put the sheep in there and hit it with a missile, or do you want me to put the men in there?" Because he goes, "I'm getting my test one way or the other." And these guys backed off, and he's, "All right, we'll get the sheep in there." So he won. Well, then they basically stole the sheep and went and incinerated them. And that's what it looks to me like is going on with Congress when they're trying to investigate this. It really looks like they're, and again, I don't know if this is going to work. And, I got a feeling that if at all possible, the military is going to find another way to fuck this up. And, but the way they were talking, the, the language, and it sounds like the language is locked in the Senate. He's positive that they've got the language locked the way they want it in the Senate, and the way he explained it is he thinks they've either got like the identical language locked, or they're pretty close. But he couldn't say that, they have it locked in the House. But he goes, they're working. And he goes, if they don't already have it locked, they are close to getting it locked. And he said once the language is the same in the House and the Senate, it'll go into that bill. And he goes, and all we need is President Biden to sign. And he goes, the clock starts. And the way he was explaining it, the language in the Senate that he is sure is going to, whether it gets passed or not, different story. Whether it gets out of committee, different story. But he's pretty sure that the committee is going to put it in there. And then it's just a matter of whether it gets, I think it'll be voted out to the floor, but it'll just be a matter of whether the full Senate does it. But the language is going to require, and this is what I'm not sure, I think it's going to apply to everybody in the government. So military, intelligence, all the different parts of the government that would be, but it's also going to apply to contractors. Like when you go and listen to that old speech by Eisenhower where he talks about the industrial military complex, it's going to apply to them too. And the carrot or the stick to get them to do it is a lot of these companies, and he understands it better than I do, hopefully better than you do, because he covers this as a journalist. And these companies that have a corporation, or these companies that have a corporation that's getting these military contracts, what happens is they get a lot of money from the government. And the way he was explaining it, I don't know this to be true. I don't know it to not be true. I'm not trying to shit on the guy. I'm just saying I don't know. But this is the way he was explaining it. They get a lot of money. And they get money that pays for their security. They get money that pays for a lot of their research. They have access, they get contracts and all that. Well, if these companies don't comply with this law, it sounds like they're going to lose their gravy train. They will no longer get money to pay for security and all this other bullshit. That's going to be the stick that brings them to the table. And I think for the people that are actually part of the government, I think there's going to be some incentive there where they could either get demoted, fired, put in jail, fined. I think there's that language. But the biggest one was, and they were specifically asking for non-human stuff. So like bodies, metamaterials, craft, recovered craft, ray guns, that kind of shit. And they had like two different distinctions. Basically anything that is clearly not attributable to a human origin source. And then the other thing it said was, and anything that you cannot explain. And I think they got him. I think they got him surrounded on that. So, like, you know, because this is like some of the stuff they've been doing in the committees, where they come forward and they're like, "Wow, we really don't know what it is." And that guy that just I don't know the guy's name. He's a little weaselly dude with glasses. But he was just saying, well, there's a lot of stuff we don't know yet. Well, they were kind of, in my opinion, and I might be wrong, but they were making it sound like, well, since we don't know what it is, we don't have to tell you about it. And the minute this is signed into law, they've got, I think, 60 days. It's either 30, 60, or 90 days to let people know all of the programs, material, whatever they have to account for it, and then within 6 months they have to document it, brief it, and you know, kind of like that briefing they did last year. They have to do like a very thorough accounting of it. They've got like 30, 60, 90 days to just like give them an overview. But by 6 months, they have to be in detail. They have to, you know, and this was the thing. There was one I was watching. I don't know if this guy's for real or not. I really don't. But because he was saying some stuff about Lou that I know not to be true. Like, you know, and it's simple stuff. Like he was saying, well, you know, Lou wasn't doing any interviews. Oh, man, fucking Lou, I watched him. Lou did a shitload of interviews. He went on Theory of Everything twice. He went and did all these podcasts. And, you know, this guy was making it like, well, Lou didn't do these podcasts because some media conglomerate stopped him. No, Lou quit doing them. I heard him say this. Lou quit doing the podcasts because he was going out, and a lot of these podcasts, he wasn't getting paid for them. He was doing it on his own time, and it was stuff that he could have been doing other valuable things with. Well, he would go, and he would basically, and because he talked about it, I think when he was on the Theory of Everything, he goes, well, I get these people, I go and do podcasts, and they act like I should be there taking notes and learning from them. And he goes, and I really don't know how to explain this and be any nicer than I'm going to do right now. But he goes, just because you read a bunch of books or heard a bunch of stories that are likely not true doesn't mean you actually know anything. He goes, I was physically doing this. This wasn't some theory. This wasn't some fucking book I read on Amazon Prime. He goes, this wasn't some YouTube video that I watched. He goes, I was out there dealing with this. And he goes, and these people, they're like, oh, well, you need to listen to me. And it's like, no. He goes, I really don't need to listen to you, because he goes, I've listened to you for about 10 minutes, and you don't seem to know what you're talking about. It's not matching up with what I saw. And he goes, I can't go into detail about what I saw, but he goes, what you're telling me is not matching up with what I got around. I'm paraphrasing it. He didn't say that, but oh my God. And, you know, so yeah, when this guy was going, oh yeah, they didn't let him do this. They stopped him. It was like, I mean, he did a shitload. And at a certain point he said, look, I'm going to finish up. So, I mean, he was doing, and that right there, that guy lost some credibility with me, but he was basically talking about, and again, I don't know if it's true or not, and I don't really view him as a overly credible source, But, maybe. But he made a comment that there is stuff out there. Like there's something, it's not quite what was described, but it's pretty close to that memory metal that Major Marcel talked about with the Roswell landing. And there was other stuff too. And he said, they're finally coming out with it. He goes, there are patents for this stuff. And like the one for the memory memo, you can actually trace it. It traces to a company, but he goes, if you do the digging, he said you can actually trace it back to a company that got a contract from Wright-Patterson Air Force airfield back in the 50s, which takes it back to Roswell, New Mexico. It takes it back to the crashed UFO retrieval that the Army originally admitted they did. But this could be huge. I'm being completely honest. This could be huge. Even if I didn't have the health problems, even if I wasn't worried that my days are numbered for one reason or the other, even if there was a point where I was thinking, even if I got like another 50 years, I'll live to be 100. I really didn't expect this shit to come out in my lifetime. I really didn't. I thought, well, when they first started making this thing a discovery last year, the year before, I was thinking, well, maybe we'll get something. But I really didn't expect it. But like with what Ross Coulthard is talking about, like first of all, the Senate, they passed that thing that forced them to start doing it, and they hadn't done UFO briefings in Congress for like 50 years. Since Roswell, since Project Blue Book. And it really sounds like they are passing some of this. And now they're working on this. And I got to be honest with you, I don't think it's perfect. But if they at least get it to where Congress starts getting briefed, maybe we'll see some stuff get done. Maybe, because and this was one, and I can't remember if I talked about this or not, but there was one. It was I want to say it was President Eisenhower, Ike's granddaughter. And if I talked about this the last week, I apologize, or I don't think I talked about it yesterday. But it was President Eisenhower's granddaughter. And it was a thing on, thank you. It was a thing on Majestic 12. She came out and said that was real. It was something that was put on Eisenhower by President Truman. And she said he multiple times tried to overthrow it, but he was basically hamstrung by it. He couldn't get around it. And again, I don't know. I literally don't know. I do not want to call her a liar because, it's a snap judgment, but I was watching her. She seemed like an honest person. I don't know. I really don't know. But the thing is, when you listen to what she said, it really sort of rang home that farewell speech that Eisenhower gave, where he basically warned about the industrial military complex. And this is a thing where I kind of told, when I tweeted him, like this was last year, I'm like, look, I'm pretty sure you guys were lied to. And I sort of went through the cliff notes of the bigger items. Like, I'm pretty sure you were lied to. And I go, just, if you haven't figured it out, go look. But I go, you would ask them a question, has the government or has the military done this? Recovered bodies, recovered craft, recovered items. And I go, in every one of those cases, they rephrase the question. They go, well, in regards to the UAP task force, no, we haven't. Well, there was two guys. All hands on deck wasn't a lot of fucking hands. And to me, if they'd had a Harry Truman in there, and I can't think of that one girl's name. She's one of Senator Warner's former students, or Elizabeth Warren's, Senator Elizabeth Warren's former students, and she has been taking like Wall Street apart, left and right. She's done a really good job. If they'd had somebody like her in there, maybe an AOC in there, and I'm not trying to bash anybody, but if they'd had Harry Truman in there or some of the newer people they're pretty aggressive, I think they would have been like, hey, look, I didn't ask you about the UAP task force. You are the Pentagon intelligence chief. Now, you either know the answer to this or you're incompetent at your job and you should be replaced. Have we, the military, the government, recovered alien craft? Have we recovered alien bodies? Have we, living or dead? Have we recovered any non-human technology or any technology where we can't really identify where it's from? I want an answer. And if you can't give it to me now, I want you to fucking get back to me. I want it in writing. And you either get me the answers I'm asking for, or I want your resignation, and we'll get somebody in there who can do the goddamn job. And that's the way it should have been, but they didn't do it. But they're at least moving on it now. And another thing, and this was coming out of, I believe, the Senate. I don't think it was coming out of the House. But they were referring to alien crash retrieval jobs as illegal. This was coming out of Congress. It might have been coming out through spokesmen or leaks. Like, they might not have been doing it in an interview. But they were basically saying that if the military actually has retrieval programs, or if they are farming it out to the military industrial complex. I think there's a nickname for that, and I can't think of it right now. But they're like, if that's been farmed out, we're not being briefed on it. We're not aware. You know, the group of the Gang of Eight isn't aware of it. The military committee isn't aware of it. The intelligence committee isn't aware of it. The oversight committee isn't aware of it. They're illegal. He goes, if they're doing it and they are not filling us in on it, then they're illegal. And that's the way they've, I guess, started referring to it. So maybe we'll see something. And the other thing that kind of freaked me out, and I can't remember if I talked about this or not, but if it isn't a deep fake, it was that Neil deGrasse Tyson, where he basically, in the video, I saw the video, and he was basically talking, you should be able to find it on YouTube, but I wish I could think of the channel that was doing it. It might have been Voyager or something like that. But he was basically saying that the Voyager probe, I don't know if it was one or two, but one of them had actually shot photographs or videos of like over 500 spherical objects that are headed towards Earth or something like that. Like, it found something. And I don't know. I just I think this is a good time to be alive if you are interested in UFOs, because we are getting so much information right now. It ain't even funny. Yeah, I'm going to kind of let it go. I got to try and clean the litter box. And then I hope everybody has a pretty good day. I really do. But yeah, I did a lot of walking today, and I'm kind of feeling it. But like I said, I thought, and I might have, but I was really worried that I had overdone it by the time, because this is the first time I've gone outside without the boot on. I just put regular shoes on. But as soon as I got in here and put my foot up, it felt okay. So I don't know. And then I'll get some ice on it later. Last night I didn't put ice on it right away. I ended up doing it later at night because I forgot about it. Because after I got my shoes off and started, my foot felt pretty good. So I didn't even necessarily need the ice until later. But well, I hope everybody has a good day. Peace out, and you take care.